We're way out in the Pacific Ocean, off the coast of Ecuador, on the Galapagos Islands for the next 15 days.
Come and see the wonderful animals and the geocaches that we find.
Our adventures continued with landing on Santiago, where we saw ghost crabs. Their eye stalks allow them to see 360 degrees to detect potential predators and prey. Their vision is so precise, it allows them to grab insects out of the air. We left the beach and spotted Galapagos hawks, endemic to most of the islands.
Close by was a hermit crab up a tree and a scorpion under a rock. Its sting's not particularly serious for humans.
We also saw a large painted locust and a lava lizard.
The purple flower called Morning Glory looked great along the coastline. Then it was on to see the small Galapagos fur seals resting in a rock pool.
Heading back, we came across another hawk and a large Sally Lightfoot crab.
Back on board Daphne, we headed for a look at Buccaneer Cove. In the 19th century, it was once a refuge for pirates who would anchor in the protected bay to make repairs and stock up on tortoise meat, amongst other things. It rained heavily here.
The sun came out and we headed to the western side of Isabella Island. The captain detoured a little so we could see some whales passing by.
Yeah, right, Brad.
The next morning we hopped in the boats to see the animals on the crater edge of Targus Cove, where we would be snorkeling a little later. Here we passed a flightless cormorant. It is unique in that it's the only known cormorant that has lost the ability to fly. Its stubby wings are only 1/3 of the size needed to fly.
Then we landed on Isabella. Here the rocks were covered in graffiti from the 1980s and 90s. It was a great walk, with wonderful views back to where the Daphne was anchored and of Darwin's Lagoon. After taking in the view, we headed back to the Daphne to go snorkelling along the crater's edge.
More chocolate chip starfish. The pufferfish has one of the most unique defence mechanisms in the ocean. Their scales resemble modified porcupine quills that normally lay flat to allow them to swim. They puff into a sphere, which makes them hard to swallow.
Here's the wonderful starfish and Pacific seahorses. We came across a turtle. We had fun watching it being moved about by the swell coming in off the Pacific Ocean.
Then all of a sudden, a penguin shot right across the turtle and way into the distance. We'll slow it down so you can see it again. Hardly moving its wings, but going so fast. As the swell hits it, it moves right up towards me before levelling off.
What about that pufferfish?
That was wonderful, wasn't it? Turtle, pufferfish, penguin.
Yeah, wonderful.
After lunch, we headed to Fernandina Island to swim with not one but many turtles. At one point I counted 8 surrounding us.
And another sea lion came for a look. After our dive, we landed to see a large group of marine iguanas and more flightless cormorants. We came across our first marine iguana amongst the mangroves. Out on the beach, there was a small whale skeleton.
Here we got a close-up look at lava cactus. It's able to store water in its juicy stems for months at a time, so it's often one of the first species to colonize fresh lava flows.
At the water's edge, we began seeing marine iguanas. Here we came across a very large group. Marine iguanas can reach an age of up to 60 years, but the average is 12 years or less.
Marine iguanas sneeze frequently to expel salt from the glands near their noses. The salt is filtered from their blood and then excreted by specialist glands at the nostrils. On some islands we came across dead ones.
We were up at 6 a.m. and into the boats for a look at the mangrove area around Elizabeth Bay. This Galapagos penguin preening was very cute.
We paddled up close to a sleeping turtle. Underwater near the mangrove roots, our GoPro picked up a turtle swimming by.
The mangroves grow very large here. After breakfast we went snorkeling at Punta Moreno. A black triggerfish passed by.
Then great excitement as a flightless cormorant went hunting under the boulders. It came up amongst snorkelers who seemed unaware of its presence close by.
You had to be careful around these needle sea urchins, particularly as there is an ocean swell. A school of black striped salima and then heavily camoed seahorses. These green sea urchins were easy to spot.
We had another close encounter with a Galapagos penguin. These penguins are a small population of around 2,000 birds. After lunch, it was another walk on a Pahoehoe lava field. Here we came across large candelabra cactus. When the candelabra cactus dies, its skeleton sometimes remains intact and becomes a nest for birds and other small animals. It is found in the arid zones of islands where it can survive with very little water.
In the lagoons here, we came across the pinkest flamingos we'd seen. They started to move off, so it was time for us to head back to the Daphne.
The next morning we landed on Isabella Island for a bus ride and walk to the Sierra Negra volcano. Sierra Negro is Spanish, Black Mountain. It's a large shield volcano at the southeastern end of the island. The caldera is roughly 7 by 9 k's across. The lava is 100 metres below us here. The most recent eruption began in June 2018. Despite the GPS monitoring on Sierra Negra, there was no advanced warning of the eruption.
The problem with geocaching on a group tour was highlighted here as the Earth cache was about 3 kilometres away around the crater rim from where our guide took us. It was a did not find from us.
We then headed down to the small port village of Puerto Villanol to see the tortoise breeding centre.
tortoises come from all over the Galapagos. Some were airlifted out of danger when the Blue Hills volcano erupted in 1998. You can see scars on their shells from the volcanic ash and small lava bombs. The men are counting the baby tortoises here. One tiny one was missing, and it was found amongst the larger babies.
Then it was on to the wetland trail to find a geocache. It was our 12th find on the Galapagos.
Nice pen there to sign the logs. And we'll put our little Kiwi path tag in. There you go.
This marine iguana made its way up onto the boardwalk to join its friends. Then it was into town to try a Coco Loco.
Coco Loco. The coconut and rum.
You drink at home?
We can taste it. Very nice.
The next day we were up at sunrise to explore part of Santa Cruz Island with its wonderful Dragon Hill. We came across large land iguanas, and there were many large spiders along the track. The carpenter bee is the most important pollinator on the archipelago. The yellow flower of Darwin's cotton shrub is only found on these islands. There were wading birds about, including this great blue heron.
Back to the boat and another dive at Punta Carrion. From the Daphne we often saw animals like penguins and sharks, but the best view was underwater.
That evening we went into town for a look around. We were surprised to find a shop with high quality jewellery, very skillfully made by a young local jeweller.
The next morning we said goodbye to the Daphne and the sea lions on the wharf and headed into the highlands for a last encounter with the giant tortoises.
We had a lot of fun trying on a tortoise shell for size.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's really heavy. Not going to get out.
Lynn, you look good in there. Looks so comfortable and natural.
Feels good.
Then it was a final goodbye to the tortoises and all the wonderful animals of the Galapagos.
Well, this brings us to the end of our series of cache walks on the Galapagos Islands. We hope you enjoyed the caches and the wonderful animals and sights that we saw. So thanks for watching.
And don't forget to go geocaching.